Hi, my name is Michelle Lawton. I'm the founder of Joyful Plate Food and Beverage Branding and Education since 2011, and I still have my original business card to prove it. I help companies big and small in the fancy food and the natural product space. I am a wine educator as well. I studied fine wine many years ago, and so I bring that all to the sensory experience of food with some knowledge of branding and market research and graphic design to help brands shine. And this is the first ever branding chat that I'm sharing with you. I've done a lot of writing over the years in my newsletter that I post on LinkedIn. And recently I've started a Substack. And I wrote about food and fashion coming out of the fancy food show. And I thought it'd be really fun just to have a chat about it. And actually, one of my board members of Joyful Plate put me up to it. And she said, back in the day when we were zigzagging around the country and meeting in person, there are a lot of opportunities to get to know people. And so now we're all virtual. So here I am having a chat with you over Zoom. Well, let's get to it. We're going to talk for about 10 minutes about some key insights on branding from a piece that I wrote on the Fancy Food Show. I'm going to share my screen. Coming out of the show, oh, it was just so incredible. And it's endless, hundreds of brands that you could possibly write about and have a point of view. And now everyone's there and everyone's sharing their summaries. So what happened was that I had this idea for food and fashion coming out of this really lovely dinner that I attended down in South Street Seaport. And a woman not from New York said to me, well, it's natural that the food show would be in New York because that's where, all the runways are in the fall. And I thought, Eureka, that's my angle. So I do enjoy a bit of fashion. I'm wearing my fanciest dress here for you today for our chat number one. And I think it's a really fun subject, and it's Friday, so I figured let's go for it. Fashion is a wonderful way to show flair for your brand. So before getting into the brands that were actually at the show, I did a bit of research and I just started thinking big picture about some of the brands that have really pulled this off well recently. So Poppy is a mega hit. It's starting to take share from all the traditional soda players because it's offering gut health, probiotics. But let's face it, I mean, Poppy wouldn't be Poppy if it wasn't for this really well-designed package, poppy colors, iconography that really helps differentiate by flavor. I was at my local Gristedes a couple weeks ago as I was writing this, and I realized in a very crowded shelf set that Poppy, popped out, stood out loud and clear. And they're showing that in digital as well. And then, I have to plug Carbone, our friends at Carbone. Eric Skate does everything so well. So, of course, he probably inspired this graphic design agency to do something different. Pasta sauce has been around forever, but not Carbone pasta sauce. Carbone, is a really trendy restaurant downtown in New York. And so, you have to bring that into the whole tabletop experience. And I think they've done it really, really well here. Um, Aperol. Aperol Spritz is a phenomenon all around the world, and all of their advertising is showcasing people partying and having fun and keeping it light. And there's even this Aperol aesthetic. That's a phrase that's being used in some of the lookbooks now in fashion. But the brand that stole my heart, the brand that is really the whole catalyst for writing this was Mazza. I had never heard of Mazda before. It had been around. Some other journalists said that it was the, foundation of their condiment collection, and I can relate to that as a home cook and a foodie. Where they started, of course, was with substance. Um, Mazda is an authentic brand, or apparently two sisters. They have a background from the Middle East, I believe, and they brought that very authentically into the package design. But I think really what started um, all the buzz about Mazda was just the way they were bringing this to life. I mean, look at that tabletop and these gorgeous people enjoying Mazda with a little touch of flair. And then what got me, what took my breath away, was this pocketbook on their table filled with flowers and a silk scarf. Of course, didn't miss a branding opportunity, didn't miss a beat. So not every brand can pull this off. This is obviously like a very substantial brand with wonderful flavors, and I've read that it's really wonderfully tasting and it's solving hacks for people, whether it's cooking or entertaining. But, they just brought some imagination to the table. I mean, they do this in fashion stores. I was in a Welsh fashion store the other day, and they had all this beautiful handcrafted pottery and showcasing, kitchenware and homeware. So if fashion brands are doing this in store, then food brands should borrow from fashion. Here's another brand that caught my eye. I mean, this is Iberico ham, uh, some of the best cured hams competing. They always say that the Spaniards say actually that they're better than the Italians. There's a whole debate that goes on there. But the point is, ham can just be ham. If you run to the fancy food show, you'll see aisles and aisles of ham. But if you want to sell your product, you need great brand packaging. And so look at this logo. I come from a brand package design background, and another one that takes my breath away. Beautiful construction of the brand identity. With I think the Mercado has that Spanish feel that's very old world and authentic, but famous brings a little bit of flair and that crown on top, and then they're bringing that actually to the whole digital experience. And really inviting in their target audience with this incredible tabletop. So well done, Mercado Famous. And then Tari. So this is a really interesting one. Tari is a Peruvian hot sauce brand. I had written about it about a year ago because it caught my eye. And I just thought, in this buzz about all condiments, here's a Peruvian company who's come at it from absolutely an authentic standpoint. The products taste great, but they're just bringing some fun. They've really thought about the copy and the terminology. With curry, you can dip it and drip it and drizzle it. And I was very fortunate to be invited to this dinner. We were at the Empire Diner, post fancy food. And immediately, kind of as a brand marketer and a foodie, I was playing with it. And everyone was asking me, "What are you doing on this joyful plate?" And yeah, I was very curious to look at the purity of the colors and the flavors, and also just to showcase the range, because there were a number of bottles and they were being passed around the table. But just like wine, you sometimes need to see a brand in a vertical. So, for example, a Chardonnay and a Viognier and a Pinot Grigio. You could taste them all, and they could be similar and different. And so while a number of people were going for like the smokiest heat, the torture one, I personally love the exotic taste of the tropical kick. And so what I thought about was, they're bringing fashion to the hot sauce category with demonstrating ranges of color. So well done, Tari. I'm so excited to start thinking about this brand. And then this one, I don't know that much about this business, but I I was really drawn in by the oozing cheese just dripping down. And at first I thought, well, it's kind of like Kraft macaroni and cheese, but they had an attitude. It was bold. They pulled it off, and they're playing with it into the ramen, which is so huge. And again, it's not all style just for sizzle. I tasted the product. The cheddar and mascarpone is seriously highbrow delicious. So they're bringing that experience into their branding and their communications in a very fashionable way. This last one, this example was not in my report, in a different Substack, but this is a fashionable trend that I'm calling general store, um, modern general store. This was out in Greenport. This was at an oyster bar, and they were showcasing all these brands that I've seen at the shows. Our friends Parch non-alcoholic botanicals, as well as Omsom and Graza. So they had all the brands at the moment, and honestly, they're just letting the brands, decorate their boutique store and cafe. So well done, Little Creek. So this is what we do at Joyful Plate. We manage the whole experience, mostly up front from insight to impact. We can manage consumer insights and focus groups. I personally do the moderation. Um, Ethnographies, opening up people's cabinets, opening their pantries and seeing what products they've been buying and why. Uh, doing quantitative studies too to get some good data. So we use left brain and right brain at Joyful Plate. And then, really thinking deeply about brand strategies. What are the mission and the values of a brand? How do you position them with a point of difference? Naming, so taglines. This is an old one that I had done a while ago. Taste the love in every cup, that came out of a big ANU data report. And talking about, what people see as a point of difference in tea, and black tea is black tea, but in some of the open ends, we found that, people really believe that you could taste the love in this 100-year-old brand that they knew from their grandmother. And so, after a lot of thinking, sometimes the taglines actually are, the most straightforward ones, I believe. And so I was really proud that they put that on every tea bag. And I'd work with some agencies on developing Good and Gather, a food brand for Target. So we've been around the block. We started, in brand management. I was with Procter and Gamble and Antinori Wines and Krug Champagne. I mean, that was really kind of what lit up my world in food and wine. And then eventually, I switched teams and I went over from the brand management side to the agency side. And that's really where I cut my teeth as a market researcher and working with very talented, brilliant people, graphic designers across all of America's beloved brands. And in my consultancy now, I have a little bit more time to do cause work, which I love. 15 years at the West Side Campaign Against Hunger, QRCA years ago with qualitative research, and WSET. I will love wine for life, and I'm always learning, a lifetime of learning. And then most recently, of course, La Dame Escoffier. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary of nonprofit to empower women in hospitality. And what an honor to be part of that association. So this is who we are. We refresh and revitalize your brand. We research new ideas, and we bring in the right design team to bring it all to life. And also we flex on data and analytical to help with business plans. And we offer a complete approach. It would be a joy to work with you. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Here I am again. And hey, we did it, me and you. Um, let's do it some more. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to talk about next time. We'll see what I write about, but I think we pulled this one off. And I'm looking forward to our next Friday chat. Thank you.